Mhm. Okay. Recording. No, the video is on, but I don't see.
There should be a poll up for everyone to do, like just to get everyone into the call. There's some fun questions in there. So
I don't know why our video is not on, but the video should be on, right?
Yeah.
Actually, this is gonna be you, so I'm gonna let you work it. Can everybody hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
But the video is not on yet, right?
No.
Okay, so we'll try to figure that out because the light is on, but I don't know. Not sure yet. We're filling in the poll, and then we'll try to figure out the video. Are you ready?
It's okay if you don't have your video on.
Okay.
Big deal at all. You don't have to have it on.
Can everybody see the poll?
Yeah, we filled it up already.
Yeah.
Lauren, can you let us know when we have like a lot of people, or can you show us the poll?
So our video is not on. I don't know exactly. It's possible Kaspersky is stopping it. If you want to turn the screen.
Feel free to use the chat also if you're unable to speak. You can use the chat to communicate with us, ask any questions, or if you have any comments.
Okay, we're still trying to figure out why the camera is not working. I think it's the our antivirus.
That's
blocked it.
okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. You don't need to have your camera on.
Okay.
Do we need to wait for some more people, or are we ready to get started?
We'll get started and
I don't
wait
know.
for, well, when everyone else jumps on, they can catch up.
Okay.
Get started.
Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Happy Friday, Junior. We're excited to share some knowledge with you all and hope this can help answer some of your burning questions about college golf. My name is Ashley. I am the manager of comms and marketing for SCGA, mainly focused on the foundation and SCGA Junior. I played Division I golf for Santa Clara from 2012 to 2016. I've been playing golf since I was 3 and in tournaments since I was 7. So lots of experience in that world. I've also done some coaching with First Tee, and then after college I stayed in the Bay Area for until like last year. So lots of experience in life in general in Bay Area / Silicon Valley.
Hi everyone, I'm Peyton Meeks. I play Division II golf for Williamsville College. That's in Missouri. I don't know if anyone has ever even been to Missouri on this call, but that's okay. It's in the Midwest, pretty cool. Check it out. I'm the program manager in San Fernando Valley and a golf instructor there as well. Like Ashley, I've been playing golf for quite some time. I think 4th grade is when I started. I played in the Midwest. I grew up in Indiana, so not as familiar with like SCPGA and the junior tours here, but did those in Indiana. and then played Division II golf from 2015 to 2019. That feels right. And yeah, so I'm excited to answer any questions anyone has. Thanks for joining.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Jaw, and I played Division III golf at California Lutheran University up in Thousand Oaks, California. I'm currently a level 3 coach with SCGA Junior down in San Fernando Valley out at Woodley Lakes. I'm also a volunteer assistant coach at CLU, where I played golf there. And before working at SCGA Junior, I spent a couple years with the SCPGA, the Junior Tour. So working tournaments in the JDT, Players Tour, and Toyota Tour Cup. So I feel like I have a pretty good grasp about the junior golf scene in Southern California. All right, today we're going to discuss basically everything about college golf. What it takes to play and succeed in college golf, the different levels that are out there, Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, and junior college, how to contact college coaches, how to get their attention, and what makes a college a good fit for a prospect or recruit. All right, I'm gonna open it up to the audience here and ask this question. What do we think are some key factors to being successful as a part of a college golf team? And you can feel free to unmute yourself or put your answers in the chat. If we can get a few answers, that'd be really awesome. Academics, yes, very, very true. Enjoy playing and practicing. I like that. Yes, you definitely need to be dedicated to golf and enjoy it, because you're going to play a lot of golf in college as a part of a college golf team.
Sorry, being coachable is a very good answer.
Yes, coachability is great. Discipline's awesome.
Consistent low scores, that's a good one.
That never hurt. Consistent low scores. Those help any golf team.
Academics, yes.
All right, so thanks everyone for answering. Those are some great answers there. Some of them probably overlap with what we have here on this slide, but yeah, there's some keys. A positive attitude. In college golf, there's a lot of situations. I mean, the team size is probably going to be 8 to 12, and most of the time it's only 5 people that can go to tournaments. So you've got to maintain a positive attitude sometimes. Sometimes things might not be going your way, or you get in a sort of a rough patch with your golf game, but you got to stick to being a team player and just bring positivity. And then the team coming first, that's a big thing. Yes, golf's such an individual sport, even in college, when you're out there playing these college tournaments, you can't really help anyone. You're focused on your own game, but you got to be focused on the team as well. Whether you play bad or good, just being a good team player, being open to other perspectives. You get a lot of different personalities, people from different walks of life in a college team. So just being open to other perspectives like that. And then a strong work ethic, that's probably the most important one, and disciplined time management. College golf is very busy. It's not like other collegiate sports, right? Golf probably takes the longest out of any sport. Like football, basketball games are only a couple hours. Golf, you're playing for 4 to 5 hours for multiple days. So just having a strong work ethic and time management is key. And then coachability, you got to be coachable, right? No coach wants to have a player on their team that isn't going to listen to them or isn't going to follow instructions. So yeah, all of these things are keys to success in college golf.
Yeah. Also integrity, having a passion for the game, a strong, like independent thinking, being adaptable. And going back to what Ryan was saying, you're on the course for sometimes all day, 7 in the morning to 7 at night for those 36 whole days. And then you're playing back to back to back rounds. So it is a lot of golf, but that's why it's very important for you to have a passion for playing college golf.
And I will also add, a lot of times it is a year-round sport in college. It is not just one season or one semester. It is pretty much all year. So you're playing all the time. And then you're likely playing in the summer too, practicing and getting ready for the new season. So lots of time out there for sure.
On top of keeping up with your studies too.
And
studying.
probably workouts.
Yeah, they say student athlete for a reason. It's not athlete student. So you're always a student first.
Yes.
All right. Next, we're going to talk about just average scores, average golf scores, tournaments to play, and handicaps needed to play at the different levels of collegiate golf. So we'll start with the men's here. A lot of this information can be found at NCSA Sports. I don't know if we can have someone maybe post a link to that in the chat. But they have a great sort of like, this is where this chart comes from. And they have a lot of other information too. But yeah, so we have high NCAA D1, low NCAA D1, NCAA D2, and D3. And you'll notice here that it's definitely a different level at each of these. It's not like you're not going to get similar scores, like let's say a high NCAA D1 school like UCLA. To go to a school like that, you're going to have a scoring average of better than par, especially nowadays at the men's level. But then like a mid-level D1, a school, maybe a Big West school or some of those mid-major conferences, you don't have to be as skilled, but it still requires, as you can see here, scoring average 74 and under at courses over 6,600 yards. And then there's the D2 and D3 scores there too. At each level, it does require you playing in tournament golf outside of your high schools. High school golf is a great way to kind of have some scores and some things to send to coaches, but especially if you want to go to a D1 or D2 school, you've got to be playing outside tournaments. So in Southern California, it's the SCPJ Junior Tour. If you're up near Ventura County, they have the VCJGA. I'm sure there's some stuff in San Diego area, San Diego County as well. But yeah, you got to play in tournaments outside of your high school stuff. Yeah.
AJGA, USGA, qualifiers, college combines. So I'll put that all in the chat.
And then here is the women's golf scores needed to play at each of the levels. Yeah, it's a little different to the men. So for a high D1 team, 75 and below, although that's probably, every year it gets kind of lower and lower. I think every year it gets so much more competitive. So again, these are just like rough averages. It really, more important is how you place in tournaments. That's scoring average is important, but top finishes, like it says, top finishes at national and state level events will definitely get your name in the door. And then to go to like a D2 or a D3 school, just competing in regional state level tournaments, competing in Toyota Tour Cups is a good way to show coaches that you have high level tournament experience, and that's always helpful. Yeah, so we're just going to go over here in the next couple of slides all or most of the Southern California golf schools, not just, so the D1 schools are obviously the most plentiful. You have UCLA, USC in the Pac-12. Everyone probably knows those schools, especially in the LA area. The Mountain West Conference is also a pretty big conference, San Diego State and Fresno State. The Big West has a lot of schools in Southern California, SLO, Bakersfield, Fullerton, a lot of the state schools, some of the UCs. I know UC San Diego were D2, but they've gone up to D1 in the last couple of years. So they now play for the Big West. And then you have the West Coast Conference as well, LMU down near the airport, Pepperdine, and USD, University of San Diego.
In some of these schools, like for UC San Diego and UC Santa Barbara, they don't have women's teams yet, but they do have men's teams. So if you want to do your research on like which schools have a team, I think that'd be really beneficial when you're kind of weighing your options for where you want to go.
That's a great note, Shakisha. Same with WCC. I know LMU and USD don't have women's teams, I believe. So just an important thing to look for.
And also if like once you're committed to a college and you're playing, I know like, I think like the current rule is you can't transfer within the conference unless you sit out for a year. So if you want to transfer from Cal Poly SLO to another Big West Conference school, like UC Irvine, you'd have to wait a year. You lose your eligibility and then you get a jump in. So you technically can only play 3 years if you're transferring within the same conference.
I know also when you're jumping level, so let's say you started at D3 or a D2 school, I'm pretty sure when you're jumping levels, you don't lose that year. I think it's only if you stay in the same conference or if you go down, like if you go from a D1 to a D2 or a D3 school. So that's also something to keep in mind as well. There's always opportunities for growth. Say you can't get to a D1 school right away. You can always, start at a D3 or D2 school, put up some good scores, and then email some coaches and see if D1 golf is the goal to try to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of coaches are actually pulling from the transfer portal. So they go there and they look at D2, D3, even like community colleges. And any players that have a strong resume or a strong scoring average, the coach will look at that player and look at their scores and maybe reach out to them. But I think we'll cover this later. It's kind of up to you as the player to reach out to the coach first. So.
Yeah, and these are the Division II and Division III schools in Southern California. So the D1 schools are probably the ones that most people have heard about, but there's still so many great schools at the Division II and Division III level. At the D2 level, you have the CCAA conference, which has some of the state schools, Chico, Dominguez Hills, San Bernardino, and San Marcos. And then D3, the main conference in Southern Cal is the SCGA. That's the conference that I played in. And you have all 8 schools, all in Southern California. And they're all great schools as well. And then here are the Ncaa and the Juco colleges. The Naia it's a different organization to the NCAA, but still very high level golf is played. I think Naia is divided into Naia Division I and Naia Division II. I think the Division I Naia is comparable to NCAA Division II. Is what I believe that's correct. But yeah, you have the Golden State Athletic Conference with schools such as Hope International. I know Vanguard's down in Orange County. The Masters University is in, it's by Six Flags, I think, Valencia area. Then you have the CPC, Marymount, California, Providence Christian. And then Juco, the junior college schools, there's a lot of them. There's probably more than what's listed on here as well. But yeah, College of the Canyons, that's in the Santa Clarita area. And then the Orange Empire schools are all down in Orange County if you're closer, if you live closer to Orange County. But yeah, lots of different schools. And then we have here another interactive question for everyone, moving away from where the schools are and the different levels, but how do I determine if a school is a good fit for me? Can we get some answers maybe in the chat, or you feel free to say them if you'd like, different factors that determine whether a school is a good fit for me.
Your location. So if you want to be close to home, or if you want to go, I went out of state, so I went further away from home. But that was obviously my choice. So I went about 7 hours from home. So
Yes. Distance, affordability.
Affordability is important.
Big one. Yeah, big one for sure.
Yeah, even if you do get a scholarship, it's not always a full ride.
the size of school that you want to be at too.
Yeah, location, size, studies, academics. That's very important. Whether the school has the academic programs that you're interested in.
Mm-hmm. Or what their area of focus is. Like certain schools are known for a certain major. Acceptance, yes.
Acceptance rate, yes. Because at the end of the day, you're still, unless you're getting a scholarship of some sort, you still have to, well, even then, you're still applying to these schools, and you still have to have a good sort of whole profile, academics, extracurriculars, and stuff like that. So yeah, acceptance rate, that's a thing. That's a good thing to look at.
Yeah.
Even if you do commit or sign a letter of intent, you still have to get accepted to the school.
Yes. I know some people think it's just you get the scholarship and you're in, but no, you still have to apply to the school. All right, yeah, so those were some great answers. They'll probably overlap with some of the things we talk about here, but yeah, just things to consider. First thing, school size. And just as an example here, you have UCLA, which has roughly 31,000 students. And then you have a school like Pepperdine, a smaller private school with how many less? That's like 28,000 less students than UCLA. Granted, I mean, UCLA is the biggest public school in the country, but still the big schools are going to have a lot of students. You're going to be sort of, I don't know what the saying is, but you're going to be sort of a little fish in a, okay.
Yeah.
And then at a smaller school, you're definitely going to be more like the ability to communicate with professors is going to be a lot easier, smaller class sizes, which some people might like. But at the larger schools, you have more students. A lot of times the professors are sort of more well-known in academia. So there's more opportunities to network and connect with people. So there's pros and cons there. Yeah, number 2, cost scholarships, which I think was definitely said in the last slide. But yeah, they're not an infinite amount of scholarships, especially with golf. It's a smaller roster size. They're not given, everyone on the team isn't on a full ride scholarship. So you got to think about the costs, getting your own scholarships, applying for your own scholarships. The SCGA Junior has scholarship program. I know the SCPGA has a scholarship program, Youth on Course, and then you can always go to websites such as fastweb.com to start applying for scholarships. That's a really important thing to do when you're, I think, like a junior, senior in high school, is to start applying for different scholarships as well. And just a note on the scholarships, NCAA Division III does not give out any athletic scholarships to anybody. So at the D1, D2 levels, and even at the NAIA levels, coaches are allowed to give athletic scholarships, whether it's a partial scholarship, full ride, whatever, they can give athletic scholarships, but not at the Division III level. There are still at the Division III level, there's a lot of academic scholarships that are provided if you have a good academic profile. So that's usually how they help out their athletes.
And for scholarships, there's different levels of scholarships that you can get. Not everyone will get the full ride. You can get like 20% or 30%. And then you can also apply for like financial aid and that'll kick in, or you'll get 20% academic, 30% athletic. But SCGA Junior, if you're involved with the program for more than 2 years, and if you have a high level of involvement, chances are that you'll be like on our list to get a scholarship. So yeah, just
And
wanted
I'll also add just that, because this is something I don't think I realized when I was going through it, is you can combine all these scholarships together. You don't have to just get one and be like, that's it. You can get, a scholarship for partial from the team. You can get it from SCGA Junior. You can get it from Youth on Course. So just keep that in mind as you're going through this process, is you can apply to all of them and use all of them together.
And there's a lot of scholarships out there. Like at schools, I got a scholarship because my sister went there. So like, just think about all the different things. And if you've had family go to that college or anything, like there's a lot of opportunities to help you pay for your school.
like LPGA, USGA, they all have scholarships as well. So the more that you volunteer though too, or just building your resume, like your involvement with golf, like academics, all of that plays a factor into getting that scholarship or increasing your chance too. So
Other things to consider: location. As a student, do you want to be closer to home? Do you want to be far from home? Also, as the parents, do you want your kid to be closer to home or far from home? Right. Some schools are in big cities, UCLA, for example. Other schools like Chico State are in smaller towns. So just keeping those things in mind, but probably more importantly, the job opportunities that are available at your college. So like, for example, in the tech field, a lot of those Northern California schools by Silicon Valley, you're going to have a good access to internships and different things, different opportunities going to schools there. A lot of the golf companies are down in San Diego. So if you want to stay sort of in the golf industry, if you want to work for a company like Titleist, Callaway, they're down in San Diego. So maybe going to a school in San Diego puts you near a golf company. But these are things you got to do your own research and things to look at as well.
yeah, and weather also plays a factor into
Yes.
Yes, weather. Yes.
If you're like me and you get cold in 70-degree weather, you're not gonna want to go golf in the snow. We're stuck inside hitting golf balls at a simulator. Some people like it. Some people like golfing in the snow. Personally, I don't have enough hand warmers for that. I'm just born and raised in California. I can't deal with that. So yeah.
I'm the same way. I had to cross University of Oregon off my list real early because I knew I could not live in rain and cloudy weather all the time.
Yeah, weather, that's very, very important. Another thing, number 4 here, the academic landscape. Does the school have the academic programs, the major, minor programs that I'm interested in? Let's say you're interested in math or computer science, but the school that you go to isn't really, or the school that you're looking at isn't really known for that, right? Maybe that's a school that you want to stay away from. Who are the potential professors that you're going to have? That's very important. Your grades in college are determined by the type of class you have, the professors, and how sort of hard or easy or how well they communicate with you. So it's really important to do this research the professors that these schools will have, research how hard it is to get into classes at certain schools. That's a big problem at some of the bigger schools, is ability to get into a class, an important class for your major. So these are things that are really important to research, and how the school ranks in the program that I want to study. Is your school known for, let's say you want to do biology, is your school known for biology? Or is your school known for the things that you want to study? Yeah, very important stuff.
And I think this one in particular is really important just because, God forbid, you get hurt or something happens to where you are no longer playing golf. You have to remember you're at that school. Of course, you can always transfer, but I think for me, that was actually a bigger piece of it, was loving the school itself and knowing that the classes I was in and the major I was in was right for me. Just in case, for whatever reason, golf went away. And that stayed true for all 4 of my years. Was I wouldn't have left the school if for whatever reason I wasn't playing golf.
Yeah. And also making sure when you're visiting the school, talking to the coach, will this major fit with the golf schedule that we have? Because you're traveling weekend after weekend, you're missing class because you're at a golf tournament. So if you're studying like biology, is this going to be practical if you're playing golf at the same time? Are you going to be missing the labs? You're going to be missing the homework. Will the professors work with you on that? So communicating with the coach and really finding out if your major will fit with playing at the division level that you want to be at is really important.
Yeah, and finally, the golf landscape. There's a couple slides on this. This is probably the fun part of researching a school for most golf recruits. But just researching all things golf about all things about the golf program. So like team success, conference relevance, and the roster. Golfstat.com is it's the place for college scores. You can literally see every tournament from D1, D2, D3, Naia, Juco on golfstat.com. So it's important if you want to research that, go on golfstat.com, look for the school that you're interested in and see how they're doing. Conference relevance is also very important. Where does my team stack in the conference? As a player, where do I stack in the conference? Like looking at the results of each individual. If I go to this school at conference X, am I going to be kind of a bigger player? Do I have a good profile, or am I going to be kind of lower ranked in the conference? Just researching that. Roster, very important. Am I going to have an opportunity to play? A lot of times, younger teams, they aren't recruiting as many players, right? Let's say a team has a lot of freshmen and sophomore, they're not going to be looking for many recruits just because of roster size limits. Or on the other end, you have an older team. Let's say a team has a lot of seniors, a lot of people leaving. That's a team that's probably going to be looking for players, and that could be a good opportunity to get into that team.
That was something, that was important to me. Just like, am I going to be able to play? Am I going to be able to go to the tournaments? I definitely wanted to go to a school where like I knew it was going to be competitive for me, but I also was going to have the ability to travel and go to tournaments as well. So that was something I definitely like looked for when I was choosing where to go.
Yeah, like golfstat.com, that's a really great website to look at, like all the scores. They actually have live scoring. You'll see all the tournaments that are going on currently. So my team, UCR, is going to be in Hawaii. So if you guys want to keep up with our scores, go there, golfstat.com. Just a small plug.
Shameless plug. Can we go back a slide? I think there was, okay, yeah. So more things about the golf landscape. Research the coaches, do as much research on the coaches that you can. Some schools, I know at the school I went to, Kalu, our head coach is a little more hands-off. He kind of lets us do, at least on the golf course, he lets us kind of practice on our own. It's not so much like drills or games or things like that. Or do you want a hands-on coach? I know other schools have very hands-on coach, like the coaches will literally, like, whether you like it or not, they'll go in and they'll look at your swing and they'll dissect you and things like that. So what do you want as a player? Really important. Also important to know how many coaches the program has. Some schools you're going to have, I know at Calu right now, we have 5 to 6 coaches there. Other schools are going to have just the one, depending on sort of budget and access, just 1 or 2 coaches. But again, it's up to you as a player, as a recruit. That's why it's very sort of personal. What do you like as a golfer? At the end of the day, golf as college golf's a great team environment, but at the end of the day, you as the individual have to know know yourself and your game well enough. And then travel as well. Does the team go out of states to play an event? Some schools don't, but some schools travel to states such as Hawaii, right? I'm sure that's a fun trip. Or Texas, or the Northwest, or the Northeast. I think now there's a tournament down in Cabo.
Yes.
So that a lot of the high level D1 schools go to. So I mean, if you're into that,
Santa
just do your
Clara's
research.
men's team used to host their home tournament in Cabo. Don't ask me why. But it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, I mean, if you want to travel, if that's something of interest to you, look that up. Look up your team schedule. How many events does the team play per season? I know at some of the D3 schools, if the budget is not there, they can only play in like the minimum. So just the conference tournaments and then 1 or 2 others. But some of the other D3 schools, I know Cal Lutheran, we go to the max, the limit on how many weeks you can practice and play as a team. So you want to look that up. I mean, it depends on what you want, but look up whether a team plays 4 or 5 tournaments per season, or whether they play 9 to 10 in their season. I think that's about the max, right? 9 to 10.
Usually there's a requirement for colleges to play a certain number of events before they can be qualified to go into postseason, like NCAA or even conference. So depending on, like, golf is usually a spring, there's fall and there's spring. So for the spring season, you would typically play like maybe at minimum 4 at least, but 4 events. And then it could go up to like 6 or 7. I think 9 might include like maybe like
that includes the fall.
Including
yeah
fall.
I was talking about like including the fall and the spring. That's an important thing to know. Golf, I think Ashley mentioned this earlier, but it's a fall and a spring sport. Golf, it's the only collegiate sport like that. Depending on where you go to school, you're going to be playing, like, some of the schools, I think, in where it snows and where the weather isn't as good, they'll play longer in the fall. Some schools are more even fall to spring. I know more of the West Coast schools are going to be less fall but more spring.
But the bulk of the season would be in the spring, so it would that's when conference would be, NCAA like regionals, and the nationals would be around like May.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So.
Yeah. And so how do I contact these schools? Let me try to get some answers in the chat here. Different ways to contact schools.
You knock on their door.
I have heard of people who have gone to the head coach's office door and knocked on it. It's been done. So email is probably the best way, but yes. Campus tours.
Phone calls,
yes. Phone calls, also important, especially for some of the older coaches who aren't as good with email. Phone calls probably a better way to contact them. But this is the recruiting timeline for NCAA golf. It's different between the D1, D2, D3 levels. Again, all of this information is on NCSA Sports. So you can get you can look at it in more detail later. But for D1, I think the main thing is June 15th after your sophomore year is when, as a student athlete, you can receive contact from coaches. So not just general material getting mailed to you, but you can actually personally contact coaches. Yeah.
And this is very serious too, just so everyone knows, if you get caught, trying to recruit
Yes.
too early, it's not pretty. So definitely do your best to follow these.
Sleep here one day and then freaking wake up in the morning and play.
All right. We go. Yeah. So Division II is slightly more lenient. So it kind of gets more lenient as you go from D1 to D2 to D3. But I think it's, again, June 15th after the sophomore year for D2 that you can have contact with coaches. I think the difference between D2 and D1 is the visits. I think you can make visits a year before, I believe. Yeah. So after your sophomore year, you can start taking official visits. At the D1 level, it's after your junior year, I think. So keep that in mind. And then D3 here. So after your sophomore year, coaches can contact student athletes. January 1 of junior year, student athletes can begin going on official visits. Yeah, so again, all of this stuff is, you can Google search, or NCSA Sports is a great, they have a lot of information on all of this stuff. So if you want to learn more detail on it. This is probably the most important thing in sort of the recruiting process. You, as the recruit, as the student athlete, must put in the time to contact college coaches on your own. Unless you are the top 1% of junior golfers in the country, you're not going to have colleges lining up, sending you mail, like lining up outside your door. You've got to put in the time to contact these coaches on your own. Even if you are a very high level golfer, you still have to do that.
And to like ask them the questions, like they're probably not gonna, just tell you everything. So when you do have like time to talk to them and have, like a visit, like make sure to ask all of the questions that you want and get everything you want answered so you can make the best decision that you want to.
Right. Yeah, very important. There's a couple ways to kind of get into a school's recruiting database. A lot of schools will have recruit questionnaires. So this is just the one for Cal Lutheran, but when you go to their sports tab, you'll see recruit questionnaire. A lot of the other schools now have these. So this is a good way. They'll ask you different questions like just your academic profile and your golf scores. This is a good way to kind of get into your school's recruiting database without directly contacting the coach. And emailing coaches. I know that was mentioned earlier in the chat, but this is the most direct way to contact coaches. This is probably the number one way to contact coaches in today's kind of recruiting landscape. The most important thing about emailing coaches is to make sure that you are the one as the recruit that writes and sends the emails. It is very easy to tell when a parent writes an email for a recruit, and coaches do not want that. They want you to write the email. They want you to put in the effort to show that you want to go to their program. And then another important thing is to send emails to all the coaches. You can look at the coaching staff. So most or all sort of golf team websites will have their coaching staff and the contact information for each coach. Send emails to all the coaches. A lot of times head coaches are very busy planning tournaments, scheduling stuff, scheduling practices, being at practice, right? So sending emails to all the coaches will allow you have a better chance of getting one person to, at least one of the coaches to see it. And then that kind of gets your foot in the door.
Yeah, and also being persistent. Like if a coach doesn't reply to you, chances are they're busy with their season. So following up with that email, following up with a phone call, and showing enthusiasm and excitement for going to that school will go a long way. Like making an effort to really put your name on the radar is important. It'll go a long way to show the coach that you want to be there. So
Yeah, and these are things that you should put in the email to these coaches, who you are. So graduation year, current high school, where you live, or well, yeah, like where you're from, academics, GPA, SAT scores, very important to put that on. That gives the coach an idea of whether you are academically a fit for the school, your golfing ability and golf resume. So tournament scoring average, important tournament results, any golf related awards that you've won, swing videos if you can, and handicap, but handicap only if you don't have enough other golf information. I know handicap's great, but it's not, if you have the tournament, a resume, that's more important to send to coaches than your handicap. And oh, go ahead, sorry.
Any academic awards too, like if you have a really high GPA and something you want to highlight, make sure you let the coaches know. You're not just they're not just looking at your golf score, they're looking at you as a whole, like your personality too. So really highlight your strengths.
Yeah, I was gonna add that as well. Just your schoolwork but also like your extracurriculars, and not only coaches but the school itself wants to know you're a well-rounded kid and you have several different things you're interested in and have participated in. So while golf and your GPA are definitely the most important, they're interested in the entire person. So keep that in mind as well.
And some coaches, depending on where you are in the recruitment process, they'll give you a call or they'll FaceTime you just to get to know you better and to build that rapport. So it's kind of similar to a job interview process where you're interviewing the coach is interviewing you, you're getting to know each other, but making sure that you're really personable on those calls and just being yourself and making sure that it's a good fit for both you and the coach and then the school and the golf team and everything collectively.
That's what I was going to say. Like, they want to make sure that you're going to be able to like be with the other teammates and like you're going to be a supportive teammate and you're going to be like a good teammate, so like they also want to know you as a person too. So you might be like very good at golf, but you also need to be personable and like coachable and all those things we talked about earlier. Those are all really important to like show on the phone calls and interviews and everything.
And then taking that initiative, like we were talking about earlier, to email the coaches from your own email and in your own point of view instead of having your parents speak for you, because you're going to be going to the college for the 4 years, not your parents. So you got to make sure that it's a good fit for you and that you're able to get along with the coach and the team and the environment as a whole.
Yes. The last bullet point there was also really important. Why do you want to go to the school? A lot of this other stuff is sort of a copy paste, or like you're going to send the same information to all the schools, but what's going to stand out is why do you want to go to the school that you're emailing? So that's very important. Make it don't just say, oh, I want to go here because of your golf program. Talk about the academic, talk about a major you're interested in, talk about maybe school size, things like that. Make it personal to the school. That's also very important as well.
Yeah, like if you go and visit and you go to their campus tour, like, oh, we're known for oranges, you're known for our citrus, make sure like you tell them in their email and make it like personalized and let the coach know that you're paying attention and listening and all that. Because UCR is known for their citrus, by the way.
Another plug.
And their grass.
We're all plugging our own schools.
Santa Clara is gorgeous.
Yes, really is.
Yeah, this is a sample college email. I'm pretty sure this PowerPoint's going to get shared with everyone. So this is something good to look at as sort of a, not necessarily a template, but a guide to what you should send to college coaches. Yeah.
That's a good email, Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you. I spent a lot of time trying to write that one up. And then things to keep in mind when contacting these coaches. Be realistic. So I know we all want to go to UCLA or USC, or we want to play for the #1 ranked team in the country. I know Stanford women's team, like they're really good. But be realistic with what your scores are. A lot of times, if you don't even if your scoring average doesn't even meet sort of what the coach is looking for, they won't even contact you back. So be realistic. That's why going to GolfStat, researching results is a good idea to kind of keep in mind what schools that you can play for. If it's not Division I, D2, D3, Naia still has so much great competition. So don't be enamored by the D1 status. All these other schools have great programs at other levels, and still great golfers at each level, and great programs. Another thing is to try to avoid the copy paste method when emailing coaches. Like we mentioned before, there's going to be things that are the same, like obviously your GPA, your scores, right? Those are going to be the same that you send to each coach. But make sure to also make the email personal to the school. Very important. College golf is a huge commitment. Very, very huge commitment. I would argue that college golf is probably takes the most time outside of class to do, like compared to any other sport. You're traveling to events one day, you're playing in practice rounds, you're playing in the tournament rounds. A lot of the time these events end up being 4 to 5 day trips. I mean, 5 days a little too, but 3 to 4 day trips. It's a huge commitment. So really keep that in mind. Your time management has to be really good. Other playing opportunities are really important during the off season, such as different SCGA events, different amateur tournaments, to kind of keep your game sharp as well. And these are also good events to play in before you go to college. They're really like showing a college that you're playing in outside amateur events, not just junior events, is really great to send to a college. And then finally follow up with the email that you send. Coaches are busy, very busy, especially now during springtime. This is kind of go time for a lot of coaches. So they're busy. They might have missed your email. So you might have to follow up on your emails.
And
Yeah, I'm going. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ashley.
no, I was just gonna say, related to being realistic and knowing it's such a big commitment, really keep in mind your mental health too. Really know what works for you, what doesn't, what's gonna stress you out. That at the end of the day, it's not worth it to go to a big D1 school if you're going to struggle mentally and with your mental health because of it. We want you to be happy. We want you to be successful and thriving, and being realistic and understanding what you're getting into and how you're going to handle it is super, super important.
Yeah, and on top of like your busy schedule, you're working out, you're in the classroom, and you're losing sleep. So a typical schedule, I think Ashley, Payne, Ryan, and Lauren, and we've all been there. It's like you get like sometimes not very much sleep because you're up studying super late for your finals, then you're up at like 5 a.m. for workout, and then you have practice, and then you have class. So it's just back to back to back to back, and it is a lot. So that's a really good point on mental health, Ashley. Thank you for pointing that out.
I'll just say, like, really quick, too, time management was a big thing that I had to learn going to college. I did not have great time management my first semester, and it definitely showed like within my grades. And I was like putting a lot more time into like my sports and other things I wanted to be part of, and trying to be part of like everything. I wanted to do it all. And then, you know, like I was lucky that I had a good support system and everything at that school and I got it figured out. But like, it's definitely a big jump from high school to college. So like going to a place where you feel like supported and you feel, you know, like you fit and belong there, like is really important when you have hard times and you're trying to figure those like scheduling things out, like going to coaches that'll work with you and that you feel, you know, like comfortable talking to about those things. So that's also like a thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge transition from being at home, living with your parents, and having mom and dad wake you up and tell you, okay, and you need to do your homework, to having those time management skills and knowing that you need to get your homework done. You need to study for these tests because no one's going to, you'll have your alarm clock, but mom and dad isn't going to be waking you up every single day to tell you. I mean, they can call you, but what if you're like,
Not ideal.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
really,
Yeah,
Were
I
you-
mean, and oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was also your teachers, your professors in college, they're not going to be like pushing you for like if you have missing assignments, like they're not going to be like pushing you for that. Like a lot, like you're not on your own. They're willing to help, but they're not going to be like high school teachers. It's like you got to really have good time management and you've got to be really proactive and you got to take the initiative to contact professors and yeah, so
Yeah, and
And
you got to stay on top of it.
yeah, not to scare anyone, but there are some professors where you'll go to them and say, hey, this is likely my tournament schedule this year. And they'll be like, great, you won't get higher than a B.
Yes.
So
Yes.
just know that you're going to have to work with some of them a little differently, and don't be afraid to ask for help. A lot of athletic departments also have academic resources for their athletes. So don't be afraid to look for those and ask for help. That's what they're there for. Yeah.
There are
Sorry, I just want to say it is really fun. Like it is a
It
fun
is
thing
very
to do.
fun.
I don't want it to seem
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, this is so like it is a lot of fun. It was the best decision I made to like play college golf. I met a lot of people through that and I, you know, like I think it helped me in a lot of ways. So like it is a great opportunity, lots of fun. It is hard work, but
Yeah.
and
It's worth
it
it.
every day.
yeah, it's worth it.
It's worth
Yeah.
it. It's the hard work is worth it. It's a great experience. I always tell people that are on the fence of like whether they want to play golf in college or not, like to do it because it's
I
just
don't-
it's a great experience.
I don't think that many people have like regretted, you know, trying it or playing sports in college. Like I think
Mhm.
they're, you know, usually excited and happy that they did it. And
Yeah.
I think that that speaks for what you learn from it and everything.
And there will be a lot of employers post-college that will appreciate you having being a student athlete on your resume. It shows a lot of who you are and how hard you can work. So
And there are perks too. You get priority registration sometimes.
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 Not
there's a lot of
everywhere.
free gear.
The gear is not
Yes.
yeah. Gear is nice.
Yeah.
I think we'll open it up to any questions. I think we went a little bit longer than we wanted to, but I hope this covered I'm pretty sure that this covered all the bases, but does anybody have any questions? Oh, there were questions on here. Okay.
Are there any schools that are in need of golfers? I think it would depend, like Ryan was saying, that you can look on the roster. If there are a lot of seniors graduating and you're also a senior in high school, then so it depends on your year. If you're, if you're, yeah. So I would look on the website of where you want to play.
I just want to address Corey's question. Being a son of refugees who don't have, are there any programs that could assist? I mean, you can always contact one of us, at anyone at SCGA Junior. They're happy to assist. A lot of times the high school counselors, they're probably the best source of information about applying to colleges. And the internet, I guess the internet nowadays is so powerful to looking up stuff. But yeah, high school counselor, I think that's probably the biggest one.
So Robin's question, other golf you can play besides college golf, what do you mean by amateur events and a club team? So it's really important to stay on top of your golf game outside of season. So like during that summer period, you'll see a lot of college golfers sharpening their games and then just staying in competitive mode. Because if you just jump straight into competition in the fall or in the spring, you're kind of knocking some rust off still, and just being in competition mode throughout the year by playing like SCGA events. What are some other ones, like any USGA qualifiers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, all of those. But I think a lot of colleges have club teams as well. So if you decide not to play college golf, a club team is a really good way to still play golf and still be with a team, but not have the sort of rigor that being on a NCAA or NAIA team requires. Yeah, so doing that as well as amateur events that Chiquisha was talking about are ways to sort of play golf outside of college.
Yeah, like social clubs, there's, Babes Golf or Tropicana Club, like the SCGA one where people just come and it's kind of a big party social event too. So,
and just to clarify, amateur tournaments are typically open to any age, and whoever's not considered professional. So that can be local, regional. I think there's now even amateur golf tour, and like Golf Channel tour and stuff like that you can get into. So there's stuff all over the place, but that's what amateur events means.
Look into there's a lot of city events, like the Los Angeles City Championship, there's San Diego City Championship, there's a lot of major cities have it. Yeah. Those are good amateur events to play in outside of college. There was a lot of tournament golfs out there. Just to, I think Atticus and Corey kind of had similar questions about tournaments. How many tournaments should high school players be playing? That depends on your own schedule. You should definitely be playing in events. What's like a couple times, like 1 or 2 times a month is probably a decent rate during the school year. Yeah, in the summer you probably should be playing more. In the summer you should play more. And then
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Ryan, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think on that slide that we had, maybe too, it was saying like additional things per like whatever level you wanted to play. Maybe it had said like additional things to be playing into. So that'd be like a good thing to look back at as well.
Yeah, and the last part of your question, Atticus, with the 2-day tournaments, those are always going to be preferred to college coaches than 1-day events. So if you can play in 2-day events, you definitely should be. College tournaments are always at least 2 rounds, so 36 holes. So colleges want to see you playing in multiple round events. And then the Toyota Tour Cup, they do 2-day events, but there's a lot of other 2-day events around in the Southern California area.
Yeah, there's AJGA, that one goes out of state. Yeah, but the high school matches that are just 9 holes, those are good to stay like competitive with, but it's also important to build your resume of college scores that are more than just the 9 holes. So like 18 at least, but 36 preferred. Sometimes there's 54 hole events. So finding those would be really key. Is that because of junior golf scoreboard tied to 2-day tournaments?
It's tied to some 2-day event. So not every multi-day event is going to be tied to the junior golf scoreboard. But yes, the junior golf scoreboard is kind of the sort of the best. You want to play in events that are ranked by the junior golf scoreboard. That's kind of the #1 sort of ranking that colleges look at. I know AJGAs are for sure going to be ranked by the Junior Golf Scoreboard. But in Southern California, the Toyota Tour Cup is very good. It's ranked by the Junior Golf Scoreboard and the AJGA as well. So those are very good events, and they allow you to stay in Southern Cal. I know a lot of times AJG events, you got to go out of state, and the expenses there, but the Toyota Tour Cup's kind of a good option.
Yeah, and the college coaches will be able to see you going like head to head with other juniors that are like higher ranked too. So being able to be playing in that same field and going head to head against those high level players, it's good.
Tournaments in college. So for us, for D1, a lot of times it is 36 holes on the first day and 18 on the second day. Sometimes they'll be spread out to 3 days, but it's rare they want you missing less days of school if possible. So a lot of times it would be a practice round day. 36, 18 was the most typical schedule.
Yeah, I think 3 days. Well, not 3 days is usually kind of how long you're at a tournament site for. So you'll drive, have a practice round, and then usually it is 36 the first day. Sometimes it's 18, but a lot of tournaments are 36 holes the first day. So you're going to be up at 5 a.m. You're going to be playing golf from like 7 a.m. to 6, 7 p.m. Usually. And then the next day you got to play 18 as well and then drive back to school. So it's a lot.
Yeah. I would recommend anyone who wants to play to get used to playing 36 holes. So go walk 36 holes, because we had a freshman this past weekend. She's like, I've never played 36 holes. I'm like, oh, you're gonna get blistered. you're gonna get
Change your socks in the middle of the round, in the middle of the day between rounds. Good hack.
Yeah, the slides and the presentation. Yeah, as Lauren said in the chat there, they'll be up on the YouTube channel next week. So if you wanted the slides, yeah, there's a lot of good information on there. Any other questions? Anything that we missed?
And I just want to reiterate Peyton's point. It is so much fun, so worth the hard work. It is an incredible experience, and we are here to support you all if that is the direction you'd like to go. So,
and ask like your coaches in class, like,
yeah,
hey, did you play college golf or whatever, and ask them about it and get more in detail about tournaments and what that was like and managing everything, and just like ask anyone and everyone and try to get as much information as you can.
Yeah, you guys could all email us too. We're happy to help, happy to answer any questions you guys have. So, and then also we're going to have another presentation more focused on junior golf tournaments next time. So if you guys want to come to that one, stay tuned. Oh, and our emails are in the chat box too.
Adrian, your question: if we don't play for a few years and transfer, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with that. I know you can do that. Like you can take a break and then transfer. And then like if you still have years of eligibility, you can still play. I would have to do some more research on like how that works, whether there's going to be like you lose a year or not.
NCSA may have resources on that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah. And then Corey, your question, what should I ask for my high school coach? Just get a good sense of if they played college golf, how they were able to apply or contact coaches, or if they know any coaches. A lot of high school coaches have contact with the local colleges, local community colleges, or local college coaches. So that's a good way to kind of get your name in as well. But yeah, I think if you don't have any other questions, we'll still be answering questions, but you're welcome to leave if you would like, if you have other things to do. I know we took a little bit more than the time that was allotted. So yeah, thanks everyone. I hope you guys got some good information from this. And feel free to contact the emails in the chat if you have any other questions. Yeah.
And then someone else had asked, Atticus.
Yeah,
asked about
Atticus
recruiting
asked.
companies. I think either way, like if you want to pay the money to use the recruiting company, like I think that's a fine way to do it, or doing it on your own. Like I think with the recruiting companies, you'll probably get like a bigger push, right? Like they'll be able to send it to more people. I don't really know how that works. But I assume that's how it would. So if you wanted to pay for that, I think contacting people on your own though is also like a very fine way to go about it. And I think you can, pick and choose who you're going to at that point a little more, like maybe more specific.
I think in today's sort of recruiting landscape, it's better to do it on your own.
Yeah.
Recruiting companies can help. They can kind of get your name in the door, but coaches want you, the recruit, to be talking to them. Like they don't really want to talk to like an outside service about you. So you got to put in the time, research the schools, take the time to send these emails out, but it's definitely worth it. You'll get a much more, you'll have a much more closer relationship to the coach.
Yeah, I'd say you can definitely utilize those companies for help and for questions and as a resource. But at the end of the day, I think doing it on your own is worth it.
I think the recruiting companies, they'll help piece together your resume. But like everyone said, essentially it should come from your own email and yourself, not your parents.
Yes, not your parents. That's the main thing. Don't have your
Big
parents
no-no.
contact. Big no.
Oh, and then also, like a lot of college coaches will come and watch you if you invite them and send them your tournament schedule. So it's a good way for them to see you in action. Even if you're not having your best round, it's good for them to see like your body language, how you on the course.
How you deal with not having a good round is really important.
I had a coach reach out to me after they watched me at a tournament and I played awful. And they reached out to me regardless. And they were like, I know this wasn't your best day, but the way you handled yourself was incredible. And I'd love to talk to you.
And they know that, like, they know it's probably not your best day. They've seen your good scores, so like if they've seen all of that and they come out and watch and you're not having a good day, like don't think they're never going to talk to you again, because you're also going to have bad days in college. And that's just the reality of it. Like you're not always going to play perfect, and they know that. So don't let that be intimidating or scare you either.
Yeah, really important thing in the chat there from what Lauren said. Always play like college coaches are watching you. That's very, very important. You never know, right? You never know when somebody, a coach is watching or somebody important's watching. This is just in general, like not just college coaches, but you never know when somebody's important is watching you. So you should always,
especially because some coaches are out there and aren't allowed to talk to you yet, and you may not recognize them. So they could be out there watching, but they aren't going to get too close because they can't yet. So just, it's a great point.
Any other questions?
Yeah, for the people who stayed longer, they got some good tips at the end here.
Yeah.
Either that or they just forgot to like
log off.
Hopefully it's not that. I know.
I hope not.
I think
we're good to wrap up. Thank you everyone for joining the call. Like I said, we're going to have our next one focused on junior golf tournaments. So we hope that you can join us. And we're also planning on doing one on financial assistance. So stay tuned. This is kind of a part of a series and we'll host them quarterly. So really appreciate you guys jumping on and joining us. And again, feel free to email us if you have any follow-ups. We'll send out those PowerPoint slides. And also the recording will be coming next week likely, because Ashley has to do some editing and put it up on our YouTube channel. If you are interested in watching more on our YouTube channel, we have a bunch of panels on there. So if you are obsessed with learning about college golf, go visit us on SCGA Junior YouTube channel. But besides that, have a great day. Actually, night now. Have a great Friday, and we hope you play some golf this weekend. So goodbye, everybody. Thank you all for putting us in the chat. We appreciate you.
Like, subscribe, comment.
Like, subscribe.
Thanks,
We see some-
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for the
It's a lot of fun.
interaction. We appreciate the questions. Have a good
Yes.
night.
All right.
Awesome. Yay, we got everybody off.
Oh, wait, you should end the recording.
Good job.
Lauren, end the recording.
I think that was really good.